There's Hollywood hair, and then there was Luke Perry's magnificent Jew in Beverly Hills, 90,210, the decade-spanning teen-turned-adult soap that made the late actor famous. As bad boy with a tortured soul Dylan McKay, Perry sported a pompadour of dizzying definition. It was the cliffs of Dover, the billowing mists of Iguazu, a grand monument to the budding desire of millions of girls and boys who came of age in the early 1990s. And he wore it so well, so confidently, with just the faintest glimmer of amusement darting across his young Eastwood face. He seemed to know the show was silly, that his role was ludicrous. But he was still game, committed to acting under a wall of hairspray to the delight of so many. It's a rare teen idol who can handle that pressure with as much easygoing grace as Perry always seemed to, simultaneously trying to distance himself from Dylan McKay while acknowledging what the character meant to 90,210 fans, taking pride in his signature role because the other option, a futile one, was to hate it and try to push it away. Perry's post-90,210 career was an erotic one, but interesting people did hire him, creators like Luc Besson, The Fifth Element, David Melch, John from Cincinnati, and Quentin Tarantino, the upcoming Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Perry had also recently found steady work on another teen show, Riverdale, this time as a shaggy dad, rather than the heartthrob driving everyone wild. In his 50s, Perry's career took on a pleasing roundness. There was something comforting about the fact that he'd be part of the current teen generation's consciousness too. Though Dylan McKay is still readily available for crushing on. All the episodes of Aaron Spelling's goofy, lovable series are currently on Hulu, awaiting discovery by any young people seeking a glimpse into the recent-ish past. It's funny, and a little melancholy, to think of 90210 that way, because for me, American Samoa a kid, it was the white-hot touchstone of modernity, a glimpse into a fabulous world far beyond all that I knew. Beverly Hills, 90,210 was the only television my mother would allow my sister and I to watch past 8 p.m. My only taste of prime time for so many years, and it became a cherished weekly ritual. My sister, my mom, and I all gathered around the TV set on Thursday nights, eager to see what the kids of West Beverly Hills High, and later California University, would get up to that evening. Luke Perry was a big part of that, right? His appeal on the show transcended certain barriers between a mom and her kids, a straight sister and her years away from out gay brother. You could talk about Luke Perry and about Dylan McKay in safe terms, because his appeal was so generously offered up. There was nothing coy about his sexiness, only the sly joke that he was in his mid-20s while playing a teenager. For the most part, everyone on 90,210 was. But that only broadened his allure. I have no doubt my mom had some hilarious crush on Perry too. His was an egalitarian brand of hunkiness, tame despite its packaged danger, a friendliness defying the aloof pose. My sister and I recently started re-watching 90,210, particularly the iconic third season, and it's disarming how quaint the show now seems. Compared to the borderline nihilism of later series like Gossip Girl and Pretty Little Liars, what is up with our obsession with mean teens? 90,210's early episodes play like treacle-hearted after-school specials. The show is downright wholesome, even though back in its day it was such a zeitgeisty event, almost a scandal. Time does that to things, smoothing and shrinking them into manageable context. But I'll tell you what hasn't dimmed, the pure wonder of Luke Perry cocking his head and furrowing his brow as Dylan contemplates some surfer insight with charmingly self-important seriousness. Perry's magic still has deep power. Only you realize now, watching this amiably creaky show as an adult, how much work it must have taken for those actors to play it all straight. Perry had perhaps the heaviest lifting to do in that regard. Dylan was a dozen familiar clichés stuffed into a white t-shirt and blue jeans. And yet, Perry made him singular. That wasn't just because of how he looked, but also because Perry actually seemed to care. There's a kindness to his performance that I couldn't have noticed as a hot and bothered kid, an allowance of our gaze that isn't snide or annoyed, quite unlike what so many objects of teen worship curdle into. On the show, Perry calmly welcomed all the glow he was bathed in, figured it to be a noble calling he'd been entrusted with. I was sad to hear that some of that glow left the world today. But I also know that it will linger in the hearts of those who first received it, over 25 years ago, and whoever else goes searching and finds him. TV's James Dean, a torch carried forever. Get Vanity Fair's HWD newsletter. Sign up for essential industry and award news from Hollywood. Email address